Hello into MediaWiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Today's review was requested by longtime fan Jasmine Bryant. Today we're in for an interesting movie from an interesting director with a very interesting history. But before we talk about the movie itself, here's a bit of a history lesson. Today's movie comes from the late great visionary Richard Williams. Cutting his teeth in the animation industry, working on the Chuck Jones Christmas Carol, the intro to several Pink Panther movies, and of course, the animation in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the man was also known for his own string of movies. The go-to seems to be his passion project, The Thief and the Cobbler, which has its own rigorous production and could potentially make for a review in the future. But while tinkering with that movie in the 60s, Williams was handed another project, a film adaptation of the beloved characters of Raggedy Ann and Andy. Raggedy Ann was created as an actual rag doll in 1915, and 3 years later she was given her own book by her creator, Johnny Gruelle. Then in 1920, her twin brother Raggedy Andy was introduced with his own book. 2 decades later, into the 1940s, the duo would get their own string of animated shorts, and since then the two have become synonymous with many people's childhoods, most notably an animated cartoon show in 1989. But before that, we got the ever-trippy animated feature film, Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. With music provided by the same composer as Sesame Street, Joe Raposo, Williams was handed the directing duties. But much like what would come with Thief and the Cobbler, this was a rather troubled production in and of itself. You see, it was originally meant to be a live-action TV movie on Hallmark. They even considered Dick Van Dyke to play Raggedy Andy at one point. But it was given to the Chuck Jones regular, Abe Levitov, and it was eventually handed to Williams once Levitov sadly passed away not too long into the film's production. Williams, being the creative soul that he was, opted for the movie to have a full-motion storybook look, which was such a tall order back then, it required 2 separate animation teams on opposite ends of the country, from California to New York. As you could probably guess, the $4 million budget hit critical mass, and they ran out of money before they finished the thing. Its release date was pushed back from 1976 to 1977, the movie was a financial flop, critics weren't too kind to it, and even the VHS boom just a decade later didn't help the movie get its money back. Hell, they haven't even released it on DVD, Blu-ray, or any streaming service. No, the best way of finding it is on YouTube. And considering other movies I've reviewed before that met a similar fate, let's hope this is more Ego Trip and less Addams Family Reunion. It seems this movie's developed a cult following over the years, with a lot of people appreciating its mellow tone and very trippy yet creative visuals. So, does it live up to that hype? Let's find out for ourselves. This is Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. The film begins in live action as we see a little girl named Marcella, played by Richard Williams' daughter. She returns from school with her favorite toy in the whole world, her Raggedy Ann doll. You can tell how much she loves the thing by the way that she's dragging it along the ground. She leaves Ann in her bedroom and she heads down to her own birthday party. We then pan around the room and see some of the ugliest toys ever. I mean, it was the 70s. This was before action figures and microchips. The credits roll against a black background with the text done in a brightly colored patchwork, all the while the characters mess around with the letters. Oh, and you gotta love this. Animated everything and everyone else. Yeah, I bet they had a good laugh at that one. Anyway, Marcella heads downstairs, and the world goes into animation as the toys come to life.
Grandpa, is Marcella gone? For sure?
Hey, I recognize her voice, but what do I recognize it from?
Hello, Shining Time Station Manager Stacy Jones speaking. Oh yes, the 10:15 from Pelican Falls to Shining Time is right on schedule.
Oh my god, I can't believe I remember that. Yes, Anne is played by Dee Dee Khan, and despite the dragging along the ground earlier, her and the other toys talk about the day she had, with the other characters being Maxie Fixit, Grandpa, Mr. Sacco, Susie Pincushion, Turvy Topsy, Oogie Boogie's unwanted offspring, and these penny doll twins that do this.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go? What did you do and why? Tell us what you saw, dear Raggedy. We're so curious, we could die. Whoa!
Huh. Short, spontaneous, out-of-nowhere song and dance sequence that lasted a whole 10 seconds. It's like they beat Vine, Musical.ly, and TikTok to the punch before they were even a thing. By the way, they do this several times throughout the first act, so yeah, get ready to see them again. So the other toys ask Ann what it's like to go outside the bedroom, and this leads into the first song.
Looking out with two brand new shoe button eyes, here's what appears to me. I see lots of pretty and a lot of happy and a bit of everything that's there inside of me.
After that, the toys discuss Marcella's birthday, and it appears the toys aren't really aware of what aging is. That's a little bit creepy. But thanks to Grandpa, he explains the concept of birthday presents, as it seems the box that Marcella brought in is a birthday present. And it was placed smack dab on top of Ann's brother Andy, like the house on top of the Wicked Witch of the West. Hey, still more dignified than getting pushed off the bed by the new favorite toy that's going to end up replacing you.
I was on the floor here doing my push-ups when wham, bam, everything went dark and I was squashed by that.
That's Marcella's birthday present.
What do I care? I spent the whole day under that thing. I'm getting pretty sick and tired of all the dumb things that go on around here. This is no place for a strong, tough, and terrific boy like myself.
You're strong, tough, and terrific?
I could be, if I didn't have to hang around this nursery and be a girl's doll.
Hey, give him credit. He's still taking it way better than Ken did.
I'm not a girl's toy. I'm not. Why do you guys keep saying that?
It was inevitable. It's kind of hard to talk about this movie without making the inevitable Toy Story comparisons, right? Since Anne is apparently the only one that can read, she deduces that the present inside the box was sent by Marcella's aunt in Paris. Not like Andy cares, he continues to rattle on about how he hates being a girly girl's toy, and not seen as the strong, tough, terrific boy he is. Well, gee, Andy, that sounds like quite a predicament. You want to sing about it?
Well, you can push me, shove me, turn me around, but I'm no girl's toy.
And to be totally honest with you, this is quite possibly the best song in the whole movie. Not only does this set up for an interesting character trait for Andy that he wants to be seen as a hero, the music has a good ragtime vaudeville sound to it, which goes along well with Andy's actor, Mark Baker, who's had plenty of years of theater experience. I guess what I'm trying to say is, this song walked, so I'm Just Ken could run. Once Marcella re-enters the room, the toys go back to being inanimate and live action. Marcella opens the package and it's revealed to be a French porcelain doll that she names Babette. The little girl leaves once her mom calls her back down for cake. Once she leaves, the toys come back to life and welcome their new friend. But it seems that Babette is not too pleased with the prospects of just lazing around a nursery for the rest of her life, as she yearns to go back to Paris.
Oh, la 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 la. What am I doing in such a terrible place?
Hey, she might be a little bit snooty and prissy and whatnot, but at least she's not a full-on French stereotype like characters from other things I've reviewed throughout the years. So to ease her worries, they welcome her with another song.
All of us live in the nursery. All of us different as we can be.
I would like to take this time to acknowledge that we're not even 20 minutes in and we already have 3 full song sequences. And to think, I harped on the first Equestria Girls movie for not spacing out songs well. Really living up to the musical part of the title though. I get you want to use Joe Raposo's talents as much as possible, but damn, this is a lot of songs in such a short amount of time. Anyway, it seems the pirate captain inside the snow globe on Marcella's shelf is immediately infatuated with Babette. You can tell because his mustache is acting like a cartoon boner. So he asks Anne if she can help him out of his dome prison with a glass cutter that Maxie Fix-It just happens to have on hand. Because of course he does. This was the 1970s after all. Hell, 2 decades prior in the 1950s, they actually sold kids science kits with actual uranium in it. But once he's freed from the snow globe, he floods the room and kidnaps Babette. Geez, how big is he supposed to be anyway? She's a rather large porcelain doll, and he's only like, what, the size of something that goes inside a snow globe, but now he's big enough to throw her over his shoulder? Well, whatever, time for another song. So the ship sails vertically out the window. Yeah, that happens. Anne feels bad about helping the perverted pirate, so her and Andy swear that they'll follow them into the deep dark woods and rescue Babette.
We've never been out at night before.
Are you scared?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be. I'm not.
How come?
Well, I got this paper daisy you gave me. The time I got washed and starched by mistake, remember?
And you couldn't move for weeks.
Yeah, well, this flower sure cheered me up.
Huh. Going by the lighting in this scene, doesn't really look like it's all that dark. Though, then again, I guess kinda murky day for night woods isn't as catchy as Deep Dark Woods, so.
Candy hearts and paper flowers, sunshine days and skies of blue.
Okay, this is not a bad song or anything. The composition is pretty good, and the singing, for the most part, is also really good. But, well, first off, this is a really long song, clocking in at around 5 minutes. It's a good song, but man, when you have this many songs in an 80-minute runtime, you don't have to play the song in its entirety. That's what soundtracks are for. Also, does anybody else get the really uncomfortable feeling that this song is supposed to be romantic while being sung by a brother and sister?
We're always together.
Paper daisies to explain.
Okay, you two, let's try to keep things more Raggedy Ann and Andy and less Andy and Lele, okay? Okay. They come across a camel with wrinkly knees, who's actually a character from previous Raggedy Ann material, appearing in some of the books and cartoons. Here, he's a sad, lonesome Eeyore type of fellow, on account of his tragic backstory. He was once a kid's favorite toy, but the mother got rid of him once he became too wrinkled. Now he just spends his time wandering the woods, chasing after a hallucination of a caravan of camels traveling up to heaven, or, as a child's plaything's idea of heaven would be, a kid's bedroom. It was the 1970s. I think it was pretty normal for everybody to be seeing things, what with everyone being whacked out on acid and whatnot. I guess, I don't know. I actually didn't live through the 1970s. I was born long after they ended. Yeah, much like the penny dolls from earlier, these camel ghosts make very short appearances all throughout, so get ready to see these things a couple more times. But no time for that. Time for another song.
Can't find a friend, and the road doesn't seem to end, and you're lonesome the whole day through. How can you be happy?
I love this image of them. It's so funny. It needs to be a meme. It kind of looks like how most critics reacted to the movie when it came out. Just confused and bewildered. So Ann and Andy feel bad for the poor camel, so they let him tag along on their journey. He gives them a lift on his back, but he begins to hallucinate again and winds up chasing after that camel ghost caravan in his head. He then runs, jumps, and throws all three of them off a cliff.
You don't know where you're heading!
I don't care!
The trio plummet into a taffy pit, as all Deep Dark Woods have, obviously, and come across a mix between the Great Mighty Pooh and Gloopy from Candyland.
Who are you?
Who are we? Who are you?
I am the Greedy. If you could tell me, well, where I could find a sweetheart.
A what?
A sweetheart. You must help me find a sweetheart. I cannot go on living like this.
Well, gee, Greedy, that sounds like quite a predicament. You want to sing about it?
You can give me candy, cotton candy, chocolate bar or lollipop, but without a sweetheart, I never get enough.
Well, Anne lets him know that she has a candy heart stitched inside of her, and yes, that actually was a real thing that came with the first batch of Raggedy Ann dolls, so A+ for continuity there. But the Greedy wants it for himself, and he tries to take it by force, tossing our characters all around.
All right, you are play tough.
But in the end, they give him the slip, escape the taffy pit, and crush his ass with a boulder. Well, that just kinda happened. Now on to the next thing. This time the trio wander some more and come across this flamboyant nutjob in armor called Sir Leonard Looney, or the Looney Knight as he calls himself.
I don't see anything.
I do. You've got a black eye.
You lay off my sister, Sir Leonard.
Oh, have some gum.
Hey, what is this?
Welcome to Looney Land. It's where all the practical jokes in the world come from.
Every practical joke in the world comes from. So, in other words, Looneyland is home to every asshat that's ever done YouTube prank videos, social experiments, and IRL streams. Well, do you want to tell us more about this hell on earth, preferably in song form? I hope so, because this results in quite possibly the weirdest song in this whole movie.
The reason that is cause I love you. The reason that is cause I care. And every mad invention I bring to your attention is just to show how much I need you there. The fact that I go means I adore you. I'll show you every crazy way I do. You may be all in tatters, but laughter's all that matters, and that's how I love you.
Can we see that reaction image of them from earlier in the movie? Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my entire thoughts on this scene. So our heroes flee from this wacko, but he gives chase and they enter further into this insane nightmare world, complete with sentient laughing mouths, a location that would later be reused in Thief and the Cobbler, all voices replaced with sound effects like Gerald McBoing Boing, and a spiral staircase set to some more ragtime music. It's here where I have to ask the question, what the hell happened to the movie's plot? I mean, in most stories like this, that involve a grand-scale journey and bizarre obstacles and characters, they usually have some semblance of structure, but in those stories, at least the main characters were being proactive. Here, our main characters are just kind of along for the ride and, quite literally, chewed up by the scenery around them. You can tell that they were more focused on showing off the animation more than telling a story. And hey, the visuals are nice, they're crazy and creative, I'll give them that, but can we please just get on with it? Finally, after whatever the hell you want to call that, it seems our heroes and Sir Leonard have landed in the throne room of one King Cuckoo, ruler of Looney Land and the original Short King apparently. Surely he can help them out with this rescue mission, right?
Your Highness.
You mean Lowness? Yeah, Lowness, that's what it is.
What?
Tell it like you see it, dollface. Lowness. You notice it, everybody notices it.
Notices what?
I am short!
Well, gee, King, that's quite a predicament. You want to sing about it?
It's impossible to be lord of everything you see, and you're down so far you can't see far.
Anyway, the king reveals that he can grow bigger by laughing at other people's expense, and Sir Leonard begins pranking our heroes. He laughs and begins to fluctuate in size. Ooh, I got the perfect clip to go with this scene. This movie brought to you by some weirdos at DeviantArt. Yes, haven't used that one in a while. Also, it's revealed that once he tires of laughing at them, the Raggedys will be turned into one of these annoying Jack-in-the-Box people who never shut up. So, it's like some kind of twisted lobotomy. That's terrifying. So first this movie feels like Toy Story, and now this movie feels like it's entering the existential dread of Digital Circus. Long before either of those things were ever created. You know, this movie actually might be a lot more influential than people give it credit for. But Andy starts an all-out pie war, and this distracts these maniacs long enough for them to escape, and find a vehicle that can help them cross the sea and continue looking for Babette. Yeah, finally, the movie remembered its own plot. But the king is none too pleased by the fact that they bested him like that, so he swears that he will get the last laugh, and he calls in some assistance from this squid creature called Gazooks. Meanwhile, our heroes catch up to the pirate ship, only to find out that Babette has taken over as the captain, is setting course to Paris, France, and the captain is now locked in the brig with his parrot. Whoa, hold on, time out. Why didn't we get to see any of this? Seriously, I would have liked to have seen Babette overthrow the pirate who kidnapped her and managed to turn his own men against him. Now she's on a clear set path heading back to where she wanted to go, something they established at the beginning of the movie. Why didn't we see any of this? Instead of showing candy monsters and some inflatable monarch, why are we just now seeing the aftermath of all this? Oh, and before I forget, the captain and the parrot have a song number as well.
You're my friend.
You're my friend.
I like you.
I like you.
Our heroes launch themselves on board, but Babette makes it clear that she's heading to Paris and she won't let them stop her. So she ties them up, and now the king and the Gazooks are arriving to get revenge on those two meddling ragdolls and their camel too. The parrot manages to pick some locks and bite through some rope and frees the captain and the Raggedys, but it appears that it's far too late as the Gazooks begins tickling everybody? God, first inflation, now tickling. Movie, I already made a Weirdos on DeviantArt joke. I really don't want to use the clip again.
You see, Babette? Marcella told us never to leave the playroom.
Oh, is that the lesson we were supposed to take away from this thing? Because And nothing for nothing, but there's kind of more important things going on, like the giant tentacled blob thing that's attacking the ship. This makes the king blow up ginormous, and the parrot flies into him, making him explode. And I love his face right before he does. That is the look of a man who knows he's done for. So after falling down the rabbit hole, I guess, we jump back to the real world where Marcella finds her toys laying outside in the backyard. She brings all of them in, except for the poor camel who hallucinates one more time. Well, that's just sad. Babette apologizes, her and the captain get together. Seriously, this would mean so much more if we actually saw any of their story. We get another song about how they're happy to be home.
Now it's here at last. All my troubles past. Never more I'll have to roam.
And the movie ends with the toys welcoming the camel into their home as their newest member of the family, with one more song, a reprise of Candy Hearts and Paper Flowers.
Will always keep me
Close to you.
Oh, so that was Raggedy Ann and Andy, A Musical Adventure. This movie is bat insane, but you know what? Despite a lot of its flaws, I actually kind of enjoyed it. But only kind of. Despite the movie's length and the songs feeling a bit too close together for my liking, a lot of the songs are actually pretty good. You can tell that Joe Raposo put his all into them. Even the weaker songs still manage to be catchy. Only problem with them is that some of them are just a bit too long, especially compared to some other songs that just feel like 10-second interludes. Because of this, the songs take up a lot of runtime, and it doesn't really leave a whole lot for plot progression. Which is a shame because you have some interesting characters and interesting setup in the first act, but after a while, the structure loses sight of things and the whole movie just goes off the rails, making it pretty apparent that the movie was essentially unfinished, which results in little screen time for major character growth, even from the two main characters. Still, the movie's somber tone mixed with its insane visuals give the movie sort of a quaintness to it. Sort of like a Don Bluth movie. The characters go on a big, larger-than-life journey with lots of trials and tribulations, and then it eventually comes together full circle with a nice happy ending. Is this a great movie? I wouldn't go there. But I would be lying if I didn't say it was entertaining. Just for how weird the whole movie is, the film is still better than some of the other weird animated cult oddities I've covered before on this show. Believe me, I'd rather watch something like this way more than I would ever watch something like Freddy as FR07 again. And hey, apparently people remember this movie enough for them to turn it into an actual stage musical. So that's something, right? So thank you, Jasmine Bryant, for requesting this review, and I'm glad that I was able to finally get around to doing it. I thought about watching this movie for a very long time, and I'm glad that I finally got the chance to talk about it for a video. Until next time, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough.
Push me, shove me, turn me around, but I'm no girl's toy. You can tie me, toss me, upside or down, but I'm no girl's toy. I sing my own sweet melody, I go my own sweet way. I won't beg round tomorrow for the kind of affection that was free today. Oh, you can squeeze me, tease me, say I'm your own, but I'm no girl's toy. You can charm me, chase me, follow me home, I won't be coy. You may not like it much, but I'm my own best boy, and not some sugar and spicy, lacy and nicey. Sissy, you're gonna enjoy, no.
Welcome to Looney Land.
Going to Lulu Land.
No, he said Looney Land, not Lulu Land. Though honestly, I could see why you get confused, because this guy does kind of feel like a rejected Brandon Rogers character, doesn't he?